Why can people stage walkouts and protests for international issues, but won't do the same for housing Chrisishai rent student loans? They do. The university I attend should divest in companies that have operate in Israel is a lot more specific and achievable goal than rents in this country are too high. They do. Constantly. There's even a moderately successful political party in the Mid-Atlantic, WFB, who centers those issues. It's easier to organize in non-protest ways against those things. Recently, California started superseding local zoning codes with statewide ones after pressure from activists. For example, the students want their universities to divest from Israel, and best way to do that is to make the universities look really, really bad. Internal politics. So there are quick consequences. It's same as it's tough for us to resolve our own familial issues and easier to resolve issues conflicts going on in someone else's families. Ever hear of Occupy Wall Street? It was a large-scale protest by millennials and some Gen Zers doing exactly what you're describing. People have protested these things, and will continue to do, so the problem is that protests have very little effect on those who can enact change. Occupy Wall Street unfortunately didn't achieve anything. The rich and powerful tend to just see protests as a nuisance rather than necessary and important outcry. What does a walkout of what? Do for rents or mortgage interest rates? Usually protests are directly related to what you are protesting. So workers strike against an employer over labor disputes, for example. Or you protest outside of a seat of government concerning pending legislation. How do you strike against housing? Are you going to move out and just live in the streets? Organize. Zeitgeist, the spirit of the time. The general trend of thought, feeling, or taste characteristic of a particular period of time, or in other words, flavor of the month. When was the last time you heard about the Uyghurs? Or the plight of Tibet? Nuclear disarmament? Starvation is still an issue in Africa, but you don't see Live Aid coming round again anytime soon. The housing crisis and student loans are big issues with no clear fix. A university investing in companies that are actively supporting a genocide, that's a problem with and defined goal. Stop investing in those companies. So it's much easier to organize people around that. It is easier to have an opinion about something going on in another country, based on the headlines that you read. You don't need to get involved in the detail. But a domestic issue you tend to know and understand the nuance more. There will be winners and losers depending on what action the government takes. So governments don't like being decisive on domestic issues because they will always lose votes. For example, keep rents down is good for renters, but less good for homeowners who might be their party's voter base and sometimes might be struggling with their mortgages. TikTok doesn't tell them to. They do. Political agendas. Why are people so hung up about Palestine when there are so many more conflicts and occupations going on around the world you hear nothing else about? Because they are too lazy to use the one true and tried protest tool available to them, the ballot box. Because no one is funding those issues. Or did you not notice that all of the tents at all of the encampments were identical? Almost like they were purchased in bulk and handed out or something. Because most people follow the trendy things on the media of their choice. CNN says Israel bad, they follow. The same with Fox. It's called the fourth estate for a reason. Also, it's much more fun to protest some abstract oppression of some people they just learned about who live on the other side of the globe while completely disregarding tent cities. They do and have been for years. It's a hell of a lot easier to scream and shout and throw a fit than put in the work to make a substantive change.